Alright, welcome to 2.3, linear functions and slope-intercept form. We're doing 2.3 before 2.2, so just make sure that you're working on the right section. How do you graph, our essential question, how do you graph linear functions and write equations of lines? So a little warm-up for us. What are the formulas, the equations for each word? So slope is represented by the letter M. I have no idea why, but it is. And M is rise over run. The slope is the distance how far up or down something goes, and then divided by how far left and right it goes. Okay, if we have coordinate points, so if one coordinate point, we'll just say x1 comma y1, and the other one is x2 comma y2, then our slope formula to find the slope, we're going to do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now, you can also go the other way. You can go y1 minus y2, but then you have to make sure that you do x1 first. Okay, so it doesn't matter which order you go in. All that, oops, sorry, this is supposed to be an x2. It doesn't matter what order you go in. The only thing that matters is that you go in the same order. So if you start with y1, you have to start with x1. Okay. Now, slope-intercept form, this is what we're going to be working with. You have experienced it lots of times throughout your career. Y equals mx plus b. And before you tune out, let me just assure you that you're going to want to pay attention. I know you're like, oh, I've seen this before. Yep, but it's still important. Like, there's still some things that you're going to forget, and it's really important that you remember them. Okay, so our slope was m, right? And that's the same m here. So m stands for the slope. So whatever number you find there goes right here in front of the x. The b is the y-intercept. And this is where this is the point at which the graph crosses the y-axis. Okay, so whatever number that's at. Okay, so if we have positive slope, is going up from left to right. If we have negative slope, is going down from left to right. Undefined slope is just a vertical line. That's not a very good vertical line. Let me redo that. We'll get out our line tool here. It's just a vertical line. Okay, and zero slope is a horizontal line. Alright, so what is the slope of the following line? So we have to, the easiest thing to do is pick some easy points. So I see we have an easy point right here, and we have an easy point right here. Okay, we're looking for where it intersects the graph nicely. Okay, it crosses right here, and it crosses right here. Now we could also do down here or down here, that's fine, but we'll go from right there. Okay, so basically, what's our rise? We go down one. Okay, so m equals, we go down one, and then we go to the right 2. So negative 1/2. Okay, so that's an easy way. You just count. We went down 1, we went over 2. So down 1, over 2. Okay, now for this one, we don't have a graph. We can't just count out the points. Okay, we have to actually use the equation. If you remember, it's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, so we plug in our points. M equals y2. We'll call this y2. This would be x2. This would be y1 and x1. Okay, and so we'll start out with the y2 is negative 5 minus 2. Now since we started with the negative 5, we have to start with the 4 minus negative 10. Okay, now when we go to solve this, negative 5 minus 2 is negative 7. And then 2 negatives become a positive, and we end up with 14 on the bottom, which can be reduced down to negative 1/2. Alright, this problem, again we have x1, y1, x2, y2. Alright, and we have our formula. Now this time, just to prove to you that it works, if we start with this one first, I'm going to do this one first. So we're going to start out with y1, which is -1, minus y2, which is also -1. Since I started with y1, I have to start with x1, so 6 minus 5. Okay, two negatives become a positive, and this turns into 0. -1 plus 1 is 0, and then this would be 1, which 0 divided by 1 is just 0. So our slope is 0. Alright, a linear function is a function whose graph is a line. Okay, the root word of linear is line, right? So it's a line function. Okay, for example, f of x equals 2x plus 3. Okay, that's a linear function. Okay, a linear equation is pretty much the same thing, except it has y. I mean, there's really not a whole lot of difference. Now, this is where students get confused, right in here. Okay, if it's y equals a number, all it's saying is that it crosses the y-axis at 5. Okay, so your graph, if it crosses the y-axis at 5, okay, it's going to be a horizontal line, right? And similarly, if it crosses the x-axis at 3, let's just call that 3, we got right down there, it's going to be a vertical line. All right, y-intercepts. What is our y? Our y-intercept would be where it crosses the y-axis. Okay, so this would be your y-intercept. Okay, and the y-intercept here would be the coordinate point 0, because it hasn't gone anywhere in the x direction, and then whatever your y is. Okay, now our x-intercept would be here. That's where it crosses the x-axis, and that would be however far out you are on the x-axis, but you haven't gone up or down any, right? And so then the y-coordinate point would be 0. All right, so we're going to write an equation for a line in each situation. And we know our slope is 3. Okay, so m is, -3. And our y, if you remember in our equation, b stands for the y-intercept. Our y-intercept is 0, 5. Okay, so really it crosses at 5. Okay, so when we go to put it in, y equals mx plus b. We plug in -3 for m, x plus b. Okay, now for this one, y equals mx plus b. We plug in what we know. So y equals, now what's our slope? We go up 1, 2, and we go over 1, 2, 3. So our slope is 2/3. Okay, x plus, now where's our y-intercept? It's actually at -1, so we're like that. Now, if you would have saw that beforehand, you wouldn't have had to write the plus sign, because the final answer is just like this. All right, so we're going to write an equation in slope-intercept form, and we're going to figure out the slope and the y-intercept. Okay, and so basically here, what we need to do is we need to get y by itself. We're isolating y. That's all we're doing. So first off, I would just a couple of different ways you could do it. I would probably, you could either move the 3y over, or you can move both pieces over. And I like to have my y on the left. I'm kind of weirdly picky about that. If you want to just move the 3y over, you can. But, so we get 2x plus 3y equals 15. Okay, and then we move the 2x over by subtracting it. We get 3y equals negative 2x plus 15. Okay, and then we need to get y by itself, so we divide both pieces by 3. And we get negative 2/3 x plus 5 is our equation. Okay, now this one we need to get y by itself. Okay, fine, I'll cave. I'm just going to add the 3x over. We'll go 3x plus 12 equals 10y. Then we need to divide everything by 10. So we're left with y over here. And then we have 3/10 x plus, if we reduce this down, we're going to get 6/5. If you wanted to rewrite it, you could put the y over on the other side if you're picky like me. Alright, so first we need to solve for y, and we're going to graph this thing. So we need to subtract the 4x over. And so we get negative 3y equals negative 4x plus 24. Okay, we divide everything by negative 3. We end up with, I'm going to move my y over to this side, if that's okay. I hope it doesn't throw you off too much. We're going to go 4/3 x minus 8. Okay, so now we need to graph it. When you go to graph, you always start out with your y-intercept, because that's the easiest point to plot. We're at negative 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're right here. Okay, and then we're going to go up 4 to the right 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then over 3. 1, 2, 3, and here's our new point. All you need are 2 points to make a line, and so there's our 2 points. Oh, hang on now. Well, we'll just draw it. You draw your line, make sure you put arrows on both ends. It goes on forever and always. Okay. Details here, you need to have at least 2 points. If you have more than that, you can go another one, that's fine. But it needs to have the arrows at the end. I'm really picky about the arrows because the line goes on forever and always. Okay, so start with the y-intercept. It's at negative 8 for us. And then you're going to do the slope, up 4 to the right 3, up 4 to the right 3. You could also go down 4 and to the left 3, right? And that would get you on the same line. That's probably right about here. Okay, so you can go in the reverse direction as well. All right, here's your practice problems, and that's 2.3.